Okay, so we're going to talk about once again the idea of people being in the black community, but the larger black community, but they are sellouts, coons, or fuck niggas who you probably shouldn't listen to. And one of those such people is Tommy Sotomayor. Just because he's against Kevin Samuels doesn't mean I'm for him. Just because there's a Pepsi Coke situation going on doesn't mean that he actually wins. At the end of the day, he has no respect for black people. He definitely has no respect for descendants of American slaves. And frankly, this rant that you're about to witness should actually get him banned from YouTube and banned from OnlyFans. And the reason why he's not banned from YouTube or OnlyFans is because YouTube or OnlyFans doesn't really care if black people are denigrated. That's the only way that he's able to continue to exist. But the same things apply. If somebody's a Christian, don't listen to them if they're trying to give you advice as a person or as a community. Two, if they're not specific when it comes down to being black, if they're not specific in saying descendants of American slaves, ignore them. And then number three, I guess we can add to that list, if they openly denigrate black people, then you should definitely not listen to them on anything else that they have to say. He did use a homophobic slur. We'll get to that in a second. So, but anyways, let's hear this.
Is actually on there like all day.
Pop quiz. What's the fastest way to raise your credit score? Is it A, pay your bills on time, B, hire a credit repair?
And I just wanted to relay that to you that he knows what he's doing, bro. And he is.
What does that have to do with my show? What did that have to do with my show? You could have emailed me this. This does not. It has nothing to do with the title of my show or what I said earlier. It doesn't matter if they're on my side or anybody else's side. Y'all, there's something wrong with niggas. There's really something wrong with black folks. He could have emailed me this, what he just said, but he took the time in which I kept on saying, I don't want people who are fans of mine or who agree with me to come up here. He waited and did it anyway. Stupid motherfuckers. I can't stand black folks. And they wonder why I wanted a damn black holocaust. I wish motherfuckers would come out and kill every one of you niggas. Now repeat that. I can't stand niggas. I hate black folks. Black folks are stupid. Black folks are 100% stupid. And y'all raised by these stupid black bitches who just let y'all do anything because you stupid motherfuckers can't comprehend shit. All y'all do is go around arguing stupid shit and saying dumb shit, but you can't answer strict, regular fucking questions. That's why the SAT don't work for niggas. That's why niggas make the worst grades in the United States on the SAT. That's why niggas are the worst in high school and graduating, because niggas are stupid. Black people are stupid as a whole group. You can't talk to them. No matter how nice you are to niggas, niggas are dumb. I learned that when I was young, when I was a little boy, and I went to school, and I realized whatever the homework the teacher gave, I did it. Like I'm literally about to fucking cry. Now that's stupid. When I got homework, I did it. When we had assignments, I did them. And I remember watching niggas couldn't do that. I remember asking my own mom as a kid. I used to come home from school and ask her, am I doing something wrong? Because when the teacher say do it, I did it. Am I doing something wrong? Because I was one of the damn kids. I used to win the fucking science fair in every class I took because niggas didn't even know how to enter it. Niggas just didn't do it. And I was a lame for it. I was a nerd. And I said, whoa, but aren't we going to school to do this? I don't give a fuck, Khalil. Don't you say another motherfucking word. Talking about some, I didn't let him finish. You know this motherfucker came up here and said, Tommy didn't let me finish. You know, Kevin Samuels be on Kevin Samuels be on Discord all day. Man, I want to talk about that. You didn't let me finish. What? A girl says, anybody who comes in this door, I need you to eat my pussy. I walk in the motherfucking door, hey, your grass ain't cooked. Your grass ain't cooked. Thank you, Martina. Martina hit me with 100. Thank you so much, dear. Your grass ain't cooked. And then she closed the door in his face. She didn't let me finish. She didn't let me finish. Finish what, nigga? Learn how to start correctly, motherfucker. The show's got a point. And if you niggas can't follow directions, let me finish my fucking show. Watch it. I made this nigga up here, Jew, about to choke on his food. Look at you up there choking. I got Jew up here choking. Y'all got him choking. And
I don't want to be on no more. I'm out of here.
he said, I don't even want to be on no more. I'm done. I'm out. I don't know what I said, boy, this nigga about to choke on his sandwich. He said, I don't even want to be on no more. Kevin said, should white people call in only? At least when I have a conversation with most white people, it's actually fun.
Can't let this keep on going for a long time, period. Getting kind of pissed off. What you're listening to is a man who has no sense of community, has no sense of respect for the community he's supposed to be representing. And yet people are watching his shows. YouTube hasn't blocked him. He said black people as a group are stupid. If a white person said the exact same thing, there would be a problem. There would be a huge problem if a white person said the same thing. And yet this little bastard is on YouTube, is on OnlyFans, is spread across multiple platforms, able to spread hate and disrespect for the larger black community. But I think the hate is more directed towards the descendants of American slaves. And if he had that vocabulary and that distinction, he probably would make that distinction. He's trying to pseudo make that distinction by using the colloquial term nigger, as opposed to parsing out Kenyans from descendants of American slaves. This is why I say Kevin Samuels. So let me put those two things together. The reason why I say that you probably shouldn't listen to Kevin Samuels is because Kevin Samuels does somewhat similar things, but it's toned down and directed on the individual level. He works from a basis of thinking that black men and women are simps and idiots and stupid people and this and that and the third. And then he operates from that personal viewpoint and extends it out to a personal analysis of a person. Kevin Samuels has no psychological training whatsoever. His sales training doesn't qualify him as a relationship expert. Again, still his modus operandi is to engage men and women with statements that devalue them such that he can provide a product. In that regard, Kevin is slightly better than Tony Sotomayor because Tommy Sotomayor, because at least Kevin is trying to devalue the individual, though he works from a universal private viewpoint of black people. He doesn't necessarily express that viewpoint. or at least not that I have heard. Tommy is expressing clearly his views on black people. These are clearly racist statements. And if they came out of the mouth of a white person, would get that white person banned, fired, deplatformed. But yet and still, YouTube and all these other white corporations are okay with allowing a black person to be the voice of their disdain. They're okay with having Tony Sotomayor say what they really and truly believe. And the way you know they really and truly believe it is because that person still has a platform on YouTube. I believe I'm streaming from his platform on YouTube. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But this should not be allowed on this platform. It should not be allowed for just because this person has melanated skin for him to be able to say this about a whole entire people. We're not going down the road of devaluing an individual to sell a product like Kevin Samuels, which is already horrendous. We're talking about dehumanizing an entire group of people, which is what he's doing, permanently so, irredeemably so, and yet and still people are following him as well. These same criticisms can be applied to Dr. Umar with the school and with his previous sort of narcissistic behavior, his current narcissistic behavior, his non-specific Afrocentric Pan-Africanist stance, which mutes the whole notion of reparations, right? All of these can be applied. You can actually apply this to the Black Authority, which is the reason why I had a problem with him. The Black Authority does the exact same thing. He comes out of his mouth very disrespectfully to the whole group of people that he supposedly loves and is trying to lead. If you are disrespectful to black people, I don't want to hear anything else you have to say. If you come out your mouth disrespectful to black people, I don't want to hear anything else you have to say. That's number one. Number two, if you're a Christian and you're trying to use that logic, quote unquote, loosely, use the word logic to define that. If you're trying to use that, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. And if you are, what else? What was the third? What was the second one, actually? Oh, yeah, if you're non-specific about black people. If you come out of your mouth and just say black as if a Nigerian has something to do with a person from Brazil has something to do with a person from America. If you can't specify descendants of American slaves in your addressment of quote-unquote black issues, right? If you can't parse those things out instead of just saying black, then I don't really want to hear what you have to say either. But this should get him completely kicked off and deplatformed. Now, the other thing he said, and I want to make sure that this gets entered into the record. I don't know if I can find it, but let me see if I can find it.
First, I'm going to go to the phone line. Tim Gunn. Now, you guys can take a look, and y'all tell me, is mine that before I get to the phone lines? Do you think my comparison of these two men is a good comparison? And now, I'm going to just show y'all the picture first, and I want y'all to let it sink in. And after I talk to some of these people on the phone, I'm going to go back and tell. I will talk to you right now. You have donated twice saying stupid shit. If you click the link and ask me whatever you want, I will then answer it. Stop commenting in my comment section. I'm asking you nicely. Right, they use ad hominem out of context. These people are not intelligent at all. Either you come up here and say something to me or you're trolling. Because you would rather pay to write something than talk to me for free. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kind of niggas Kevin Samuel has. The person would rather pay me to type shit I never said and nothing about me. Pay me to type instead of hitting the link for free and ask me whatever they want. So all you people who are watching who wonder something, please remember, whether you're a fan of me, him, or both, or none, understand that there's a... And if when you came on here, you were making points, then I don't think you arguing the fag, you arguing the points. I'm a bitch ass nigga because I said his connection is slow.
My shit good, nigga.
No, it isn't. You see what the people are writing.
StreamYard bullshit. This
Dude,
is trash, nigga.
you know what then? Bye.
This shit is trash.
And you trash, bitch nigga. Now keep being a fan. This is, y'all see these niggas? Tough as fuck online. No, bitch nigga. You up here arguing for a fag. Who the bitch nigga? Y'all niggas is arguing for a fag, and I'm the bitch nigga. The fag ain't.
Again, you can deconstruct Kevin Samuels and disqualify him without ever having to go down the road of having a conversation about his sexuality, which I do believe, if he is a part of the LGBTQ community, it does invalidate any of his advice to black people, but you can intelligently dissect that. But he's using a homophobic slur, which actually gives that community more ammunition and more fire. But it also comes into effect of, why is this person still allowed to have a platform? We're going straight there. If he's using that platform in order to use racial slurs against black people, homophobic slurs against people of the LGBTQ community, then why is he still having a platform? Because if he was a white male, he wouldn't have this platform after this show right here. He would not be able to confidently place this on YouTube and basically cross-promote, even if he's not getting any sort of direct payment from this. He wouldn't be able to cross-promote his OnlyFans account using this platform after saying that. I think we deplatformed for less. President Trump for less. Actually, no, not for less, actually. He incited an insurrection. But at the end of the day, you're doing that. So let's break that down, and then we can come back for the stupid people. So the reason why let's have the argument, and then let's show why that's the better argument. People of the LGBTQ community are LGBTQ members. They are advocating for largely the interests of their white members within that group, their white gay male members within that group. Everybody else sort of quasi benefits from that argument that is being used. The black members of that group actually are just tokenized in members of that group. They try to identify as LGBTQ because they want to escape blackness globally, but they also want to escape the legacy of being a descendant of American slaves for those people with that legacy. Those people with that legacy are the ones that are used in the front of the camera in order to promote certain narratives of oppression, right? Where those narratives of oppression actually exist outside of being an LGBTQ member, right? If you're black and gay, you're probably treated even worse in society than if you're white and gay, right? Or a member of any of the other alphabets within that group organization. Not only that, but then they're used as tokenized members to gain access to certain arguments, like, for instance, the civil rights argument, right? A large amount of those individuals were basically, quote unquote, supportive of the civil rights movement, but you see what that ended up being. It ended up being non-specific to descendants of American slaves and included other groups like women and I think gender, and what else? Race, gender, and nationality, I believe, was included. So by expanding it to not be specific to descendants of American slaves, it actually helped dilute the power of that legislation. And those members of the LGBTQ community, with a few exceptions, were the ones who sort of led this sort of broader approach. So their status as agents within the larger, broader black empowerment movement can be parsed out from a historical perspective. You don't necessarily need to devolve yourself down to homophobic slurs in order to play into their game of empowering their community against what they deem as discrimination and oppression, right? So if you are tackling the community that's it's sort of like this. The LGBTQ community is a leech on the black society. It's a leech. You don't you don't get rid of a leech by splashing it with blood, with more blood, right? That's not how you get rid of a leech. You don't get rid of a group that's sort of co-opting your narrative of oppression by giving them examples of your oppression against them, right? That's not how that works. So, for instance, when Black Authority wanted to use that same sort of narrative on his program, that's why that's not effective, right? It's actually supportive of that other community. It actually undermines the argument that you're trying to make for this community that, hey, our story of oppression is unique, right? We don't necessarily have to invalidate your narrative of oppression, but ours is supreme. And we can easily prove that outside of giving you more examples of oppression. But the fact that he made that statement, the fact that those words came out of his mouth, again, not to go into too deep further as to how it's basically supportive of that community's narrative. He's actually giving them a boogeyman that they can use. But it's a further example as to why does this individual have a platform? Why? I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to figure out who's more undermining of our agenda for reparations, I think Tony Sotomayor is actually worse than Kevin Samuels. So at the end of the day, both of them need to be thrown out. But again, this is more of a warning to never do the Pepsi Coke challenge, right? There's a third option, there's a fourth option, there's a fifth option. Don't just go with, well, I'm just going to choose red or blue, right? I'm going to choose Kevin Samuels or Tony Sotomayor, when actually both of them are wrong. And both of them, if you look at what's came out of Kevin Samuels' mouth and what's been coming out of his mouth, it's actually supportive of white supremacy in that it's not really directly addressing the broken homes and the descendants of American slaves in our population, in our community. And this individual is throwing out just hot garbage and making us delegitimizing any sort of movement that were to come out of that. I don't know if his personal story was correct, but at the end of the day, we all have a story like that. I mean, I was a part of IB, International Baccalaureate, when I was in high school. I don't carry around a chip on my shoulder just simply because I was thought of as the smart kid in school. If that's real, then I think he needs a therapist as opposed to a platform on YouTube where he can spew this kind of distracting bullshit. But anybody who actually follows this individual at this point, please note you are full of shit, right? At the end of the day, there is no Pepsi versus Coke. Kevin Samuels is wrong for the reasons I've outlined. He's a Christian and he's not specific when it comes down to black people. And Tony Sotomayor, with a name like Sotomayor, I have to question his lineage as to whether or not it dates back to slavery, but we'll see. Don't know if that's true or not, but hey, I have at least a question. But you can add to that outright denigration of our people specifically. He said everybody who's black in the black community, everybody is stupid. As a group, he specified that. Then before that, he actually went into using homophobic epithets in order to denigrate Kevin Samuels when he doesn't have clearly. I question whether or not he has the intellect to actually battle him or discount him on any other means or by any other means other than questioning his sexuality. At the end of the day, you can go after somebody without doing that. Now, do we need masculinity in our community? Obviously. My point is that the descendants of American slaves, we need two-parent married households, right? That means it's incompatible with MGTOW, it's incompatible with the LGBTQ agenda, right? So we need two-parent, male and female, married households, male-led family structures. That's what we need. And Kevin's not really advocating for that, and Tony definitely cannot ever advocate for that. So I don't know why anybody is following either one of them. But really, what you see here is Tony actually backing Kevin Samuels. Like when you look at it from a Z position instead of an XY position, you zoom out from the situation, you realize that Tony, by having this narrative, is giving Kevin the backing he needs to be able to last this storm that's going through, right? He's the face. Tony Sotomayor is the face of Kevin Samuels' longevity, right? So by discrediting him solely based off of sexuality, as opposed to analyzing why on a fundamental level why Kevin Samuels is bad for our community and extracting narratives that you can apply to other people, he's just calling him a fag. So his lack of intellect to be able to deconstruct somebody in a basic way is indicative of his lack of concern for black people as a whole. When he said what he said back here, right, about black people, if this entire chat was full of white people, I wouldn't be surprised. If this entire chat were full of KKK members, they would all agree. If this entire chat was full of white cops, they would all applaud, right? If you're saying something about black people where that company of people, if they were your audience, would all agree with you, then clearly you're saying something that's completely fucking wrong. And you shouldn't have a platform, at least a platform on YouTube, to be able to say it. So my thing is that if Tony Sotomayor wants to come out of his mouth about black people in such a crude, disrespectful way, he should be deplatformed right now.